Greetings. Those who control the wealth of the world, they would rather teach you or give you the ability to look at pornography and to know more about weaponry, war, and everything else that will keep you from knowing who you are. Moreover, they'll never teach you about who is a mystic, a sage, some wise one who would have left humanity and come into their divinity. However, they would have left certain messages of symbology, especially the I and the US dollar. So, my brothers, my sisters, what I really want to get across to you is that the Bible was written by mystics and all the other books that are used all around the world to keep people religious. They all were written by mystics. So if I was into Islam, I would have been an Islamic mystic. If I was into Buddhism, same thing. If I was into Hinduism, you may call me a different name, you may call me a yogi or whatever, but it's the same. Okay? And it's the same experience whereby you would become invisible. Okay? You come to your true essence. You come and experience the true birth. You come to experience how in this physical three-dimensional world, you can go into the non-physical world to manifest itself in this three-dimensional world. So there's always a transmutation that's happening. There's always a metamorphosis. There's always a changing. And when you go into the immortal to reflect the mortal, it's the same thing. Like when you have an idea and when you have a desire, when you have a goal, when you have a dream, and you believe it, you remain faithful to it, and you have the feeling that it is already so, and you remain faithful to that feeling, and then it manifests itself in this three-dimensional world. It's the same thing when it comes to a spiritual awakening. It is where you change from this world of matter into the world of the invisible and experience your invisible self. You see, there is earth, wind, water, fire, and they're all tangible. Okay, you can see them and so on, you can touch them and so on. But when it comes to the spirit, the invisible, it takes the invisible to control all of the other elements. Okay, now, how does the Bible interpretation brings us to a place of colonization? Now, those who had the mystical understanding of the Bible and know that it's a book of mind science, those who knew that it was a magic book and that we are all magicians, they walk on the ignorance of the masses and they travel from place to place and they fought wars, and their motive was to make sure they win the war so that they could continue winning by enslaving the people with a false interpretation of whichever book they were using. They were giving them the esoteric understanding of that book to disempower them, and not giving them the esoteric understanding of that book to empower them. In other words, keeping them looking outwardly instead of looking inwardly to believe in themselves. So millions, if not billions of people are living in the world in self-doubt, and self-hate and lack of self-confidence because they do not know who they are. And so the Bible was used to colonize people all around the world. And me being born and grew up in the Caribbean, the way how it's been done in the Caribbean is that they make sure that it is also put in the school system. So the school system have a certain syllabus or curriculum that they have to go by. And they're making sure they're teaching you what to think. They're not teaching you how to think. And they're making sure they prepare you for the job market. And they're making sure that it doesn't empower you to know how powerful you are. But in between, they have games. So they keep you also in sports. So few people may excel in sport, and actually that was really their calling to be great in that field and so on. But the real field, which is the field, our playing field of life, is whereby we have to learn how to play the game of life. By understanding that it's a game and how to play it, and they are playing a game on you. So you either learn how to play the game and get played by the game. And that is why the most feared people in this world are people who are enlightened. People who cannot be kept in the matrix because they would have rise above the matrix. People who know that they are immortal. Who knows that you can kill this body, but you can't destroy their spirit. They know it. They don't believe it. They know it. Okay? And so, my brothers and my sisters, the entire world has been colonized. So all colonization comes from false interpretation of who you are. In other words, they keep you in false identity. And when you keep in false identity, it will definitely disempower you. Okay? Because when you do not know who you are, you would know how to activate your power. And when you do not know that you have a power, you're actually living in ignorance. Okay? So what we see going on in Palestine and with Palestine and Israel at this time, all of that is to show us what is happening between two major religions on this planet. And each and every one of them, whatever country they infiltrate, they make sure they use their book to get the masses under that spell, to get the masses under that kind of enchantment. Because see, most people do not know words and spells. Okay, that's why in school they say we're doing spelling. So when you come under whichever spell you come under, and you come under that spell in ignorance of knowing who you are, you'll do anything because you've been programmed. You see, that's why it tells you in Proverbs 22 that if you train up a child in a certain way, that when they become older, they wouldn't depart. That is programming the subconscious mind it is talking about. And then it tells you later on in that same chapter, that is what gives you the rich and the poor. And it said that the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is a slave to the lender. If you check most of these soul dyers that are out there sacrificing themselves, you would realize those who are giving them the command to go and do it, those are people of the aristocrats, the higher class of people in terms of living, in terms of what they acquire on this planet. As a matter of fact, even the weapons that they're using to fight war, those who are involved in decision making, they have buy stocks and bonds and those kind of things. So they're always gaining. It doesn't matter what the preachers will tell you. They are blind and they are dumb. It is the blind leading the blind. These people are making millions and billions from war. Even when we had the pandemic, those were the people who invest in the pharmaceutical industries and who would know what is coming before it ever start coming, and will always buy so much and so much of stocks because they know what is happening. So my brother and my sisters, In order to break from the colonization with the false interpretation of the Bible, you have to practice self-discipline and self-mastery by taking what I am saying and become a doer and not just a hearer. If I tell you that you're a magician and the Bible is a magic book, and the Bible says you must call those things that be not as though they are, and that you shall decree a thing and it shall come to pass, get to learn the science of it through these kind of teachings and use it morning, noon, and night. I teach you that God in man is man's imagination, man's awareness of being, and I teach you that everything in this world, it was first a thought, it was first an idea, it was first imagined. I teach you there's spiritual inner alchemy, whereby you transmute energy into matter. And if it makes sense to you, then you have to start to practice. You have to start to practice to meditate and calm your mind down and start to practice to prove that there's just energy, vibration, and frequency. So you have to become a spiritual scientist. That is how you would break out of the colonial mentality. Because the whole world have been colonized. Okay? Not by bombs and guns only, but psychologically. So my brother, my sister, your power is your psychological power. No one can have a thought for you. You see, all the bombs and guns, they were first a thought, they were first an idea, they was first imagined. Therefore, stop giving away your imaginal power by getting too involved in the news and using your emotion, picking sides and so on. No. Let the thieves fight while you get to understand how the game is played. Okay? There are two kind of people on this face of this earth that is competing for your mind to make you a clientele. One is promising you a good life while you are here if you give him your energy. And every 4 to 5 years, he's coming to you and asking you to participate freely because they know everyone has been given a choice and they understand immutable laws. So these people are not going against any kind of law. They understand the law of consciousness. So they're asking you and you have to freely give it to them. And then there's the other one who is coming to you also with a check in your hand, with a Bible in your hand. And he's promising you a good life after you leave here. If you give him your energy, so you could come under his spell and his enchantment. And he would live his life here on this planet lavishly. He, his children, his entire family, they would live life here lavishly while you're waiting until you leave here, thinking you're going to go in a paradise. So my brother and my sisters, remember that these words, they must not just fall on stony ground. That they fall on good ground. So some will be able to bring forth 60-fold and 80-fold, 90-fold and 100-fold. I guarantee you that an assumption, though false, if persisted in, would definitely harden into fact. I guarantee you that if a physical fact can create a psychological state, then a psychological state can definitely create a physical fact. That is why you have to get within yourself and deal with your psyche. That is why you have to be willing to unlearn and relearn and reprogram your subconscious mind. That is why you have to change the feeling that you have about yourself, the feeling you have about the world. Until you change your feeling, you'll not be able to get into the right vibration and frequency to create your reality consciously. You have to change your perception entirely concerning how they have taught you to keep you in mental slavery. That is why you're told that you can only be transformed one way, and that is by the renewing The renewing of your mind is all mental. It's a mental battle. It's a psychological battle. The greatest battle that will ever be fought on this planet. It's not what people referring to as what's happening right now with Israel and Palestine and America and all of those countries that people say, oh, World War III, the greatest war, will always be in your mind. This is where you have to win the battle. It's an individual war. It's an individual battle. All of these men who are in certain position, what you think they're doing? Securing themselves and securing their family. So my brother, my sisters, win the war inside. And you win the war on the outside. So with that being said, my brother, my sister, I want to come to a close. I want to thank you very much for listening to me. And I want to say to you, if this is the very first time that you're listening to me, what I'm saying, if it makes sense to you, if it really resonates with you, and you haven't subscribed already, I definitely want to encourage you to subscribe, to like, to comment, and to share this video. Also, if you like to follow me on Instagram, and you like to follow me on TikTok, you can definitely follow me at BlackMadGuru. And if you like to grab a hold of my work, I'll definitely encourage you to check out all of the links. All of the links, whatever you need, all of the links is down there to help you. Whether you need to get my Inner Sun Science and Technology to create your reality consciously course, you want to get my books, you want to be a part of my Patreon community, whatever you desire, the links are all down below. So I definitely encourage you to get down there now and check them out and follow your intuition. So with that being said, my brother and my sister, I just want to say peace, love you all. Out.